That was quite the cinematic opening. What's this video going to be about, and who am I? Let's answer the latter one first. 1. I'm Brian Garcia, also known as Life on Chaos, who is a skateboarder with over 700 subscribers on YouTube. And right now, I'm just out in nature. This video has nothing to do with skateboarding or YouTube. It's just a video about life. I'm in the point where did my phone... I'm in the point in my life right now where I recently finished off high school and I just got started off in college. And that's a very scary point for a lot of people to be in, because, you didn't know what you wanted to be when you were in high school, and now all of a sudden everyone expects you to pick a major or a subject that you just want to spend the rest of your life chasing. In my opinion, it's not really what I want to do with my life. It's not the style to just always be chasing some unfathomable goal. Like, I like things I could touch. I like things I can shape and feel, and things that can help me express my existence. I have a lot of hobbies, and I guess that's what this video is about. Hobbies. I like to sing, dance, make music, draw, content create. I like to do parkour. I like to play guitar. I like to learn new things. Amongst all these hobbies, I wouldn't spend the rest of my life doing any single one of them. I want to spend the rest of my life doing every single one of them. I decided to get a new hobby. A hobby that I've tried once long ago, but decided not to pursue after injuring myself. And while I do this, I will tell a little bit of the story of how that happened. These are the wood cutting tools that I ordered myself. It's a nice set. There's a squiggly boy, a simple curved edge blade, and a few other fine tools like for example, do I know what any of them do? No. Have I looked up a single YouTube tutorial? No. Am I still going to try not to get myself hurt in the process? Yes. So the point of this... How do you keep doing that? So the point of this video is to talk about life while cutting this block of wood. It started a long time ago when I was about 9 years old. I was cutting a block not too dissimilar to this, actually. And I was using one of these tools. I was using this tool. This straight edge tool here. Mind you, I was like 9 years old at the time. So the mistake I was making is I was holding the block quite similar to this, or just not how I was supposed to hold it, like this or this. And I was cutting with the blade like this, right? So I try to, and the blade goes through my hand, and now I have this scar on my palm. I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but yeah. And the blade was a lot bigger than this. Ever since then, I was terrified of blades, terrified of knives, basically for the rest of my life. I still am quite scared of knives, but it's tamed to the point where I'm willing to try again, which is why we're here. I struggled finishing high school. I flunked all my classes, my grades were doo-doo butt, probably worse than yours, whoever's watching. Probably a lot worse than yours. And everyone thought I just wasn't gonna pass, there was just zero chance. But basically, some of my friends pulled me aside, my parents pulled me aside separately. They were like, look, we just want what's best for you, and if you think you can achieve what's best for you outside of high school and outside of college, then just drop out and move on with your life. Get a job, move on, basically, is what they were saying. But if you don't truly believe that that's the best move to make, then lock in, get your grades passing, and get high school over with, is what they're basically saying. And that was really hard for me to hear at the time, because I had gotten so used to procrastinating, pushing off goals till the next day or the next week, or getting things done last minute. It was so comfortable that I didn't want things to change. But then, when it finally happened and the final months of school dawned upon me on my senior year, I kind of realized, if I don't actually lock in, everyone's just gonna think I don't know what I'm doing. And I knew in my heart and I knew in my soul that I knew what I was doing. I know what I want to do. I just don't know how to get there. And I felt alone in that. I felt alone. And that type of loneliness is incredibly painful. The type of loneliness that will convince you that it's better to do things alone rather than to call out to the people who are willing to help you. I'm kind of shaving the edges right now. That type of loneliness started to linger within me. And the final month came and I had been working really hard, and it just felt like everything I was doing wasn't enough because my grades still weren't passing. My teachers were still all disappointed, like they didn't even want to look at me. And, my parents were starting to just prepare me for the worst possible outcome. And that really hurt because I felt like no one believed in me. And if no one believed in me, why should I even believe in myself? Just because no one believes in you does not give you a reason to stop believing in yourself. And I think that's a very important thing for anyone watching this video to hear. Whatever led you to clicking on this video, or whatever self-discovery or realization or reflection you're hoping to have, you're not gonna find it here because I can't do that for you. If you need to realize something you're doing wrong or reflect on something bad you did in the past, that's something that only you can do. No one else could do that for you. Everyone in this life has a reflection. We all leave traces of ourselves behind in the actions we take and the choices we make. And the choice I made to pass high school left the reaction behind that people think I'm capable, or they expect me to pass even if it's a struggle. And they expect me to do it on my own. Because back then, I was basically on my own. None of my teachers could help me, my parents couldn't help me. And granted, to their credit, they tried. They really did, but I was just stubborn and ignorant. And those types of realizations are realizations that only you can make. I learned when I first started doing this, or when I first tried to do this when I was younger, always cut away from yourself. Always. You never want to cut towards yourself. I think that has real life implications too. Because think about it. Actions you take can be dangerous. Like, they can have life-changing implications. So if you're ever gonna cut someone off, or break off a relationship, or just distance yourself from family, do it in a way that doesn't bring harm to you and brings as little as harm to possible to them. Because in situations like that, obviously, if it's the end of something, it's always going to hurt both parties. But you don't have to define the interaction with hurt. You can define that interaction with peace. Like, maybe you're doing this for a selfish reason, to bring yourself peace, knowing it'll hurt the other person. But if you're being true about that, and if you're being true to your nature, then eventually that will bring them peace too. because they know you didn't lie about what you did or do something behind their back or do anything malicious. That way they know that you did something pure-hearted, even if it's selfish, even if it's greedy or not to their benefit. At least they know that you didn't purely do it out of spite. You don't have to be defined by the negative, arbitrary traits of your past self. Every step you take in life, you become a new person in a way. You're not the same person you were when you walked the stage of graduation in high school. You're not the same person you were when you got your diploma after all those years of hard work in college and passing your semesters. And hell, you're not even the same person you were after you got out of bed too late yesterday and slept through your alarms or missed your classes that you weren't supposed to miss. These mishaps or situations that you've been through, they don't have to define who you are moving forward. You can choose to be a better person than you were yesterday. And no, it's not an excuse to do bad things, but it allows you to move on from it and become a better person without feeling bad for who you were, is what I'm trying to say. The same kid who's homeless and stealing to survive today might get picked up by someone who sees their potential and become their apprentice. Tomorrow they might be in a mentorship, an internship, that might turn into their lifelong career as a doctor, saving lives down the line. And years ago, they were on the streets stealing to survive. And you would have never guessed it just by looking at them. Or some delinquent doing graffiti in the middle of the road. A couple years from now, they could be picked up by the NBA and become an all-star champion and get an insane legacy. Meaning, our past doesn't define our potential. And no, don't get me wrong, our potential doesn't define who we are either, but it just gives us outlook on who we can be. And from that outlook, you could choose whichever path that you want to go down, that you want to take. And you don't have to feel bad for choosing whichever path that you choose. Whether it's a path that chooses yourself, where you have to cut people off that you never thought you would cut off. Whether it's a path that, makes you happy but doesn't make you a lot of money. Whether it's a path that makes you a lot of money but doesn't make you happy. Whichever path you want to make is the path that you should make. But just know, these paths, they don't form overnight. Day by day, walking in the same route. You crunch the branches down first to get them out of the way, then with the leaves on the ground, you have to stomp them out, sweep everything over the brush. Then eventually, in weeks, months, maybe years, a clear path has shown itself, and that wouldn't have been possible if you hadn't walked there every single day. Alright, I'm gonna try to use a different tool for this. So yeah, in life, if you feel like you're lost and, every direction you go in just seems to lead to the same place, I'd say, as my piece of advice, just try something new. You're not gonna know right away if you're doing the right thing or if you're doing something that's wrong. but you'll learn and you'll add those new experiences to your skill belt, and the next time you return to a situation like that, you'll know better. So if you're in the dark and you don't know what to do, just try something you've never tried before. And it's gonna be scary, it's gonna be unexpected, you know, it's gonna feel different than anything you've ever felt in your life. You're gonna feel like things are happening to you, but that's not true. Things are happening for you and because of you. And yes, that's a naive perspective. I'm an 18-year-old college student. Like, what do I know, right? But I know a lot of people are gonna click on this video being lost and not knowing where to go in life, and unfortunately I can't really tell you, where you should go from here. You're at a crossroads, just like me. I'm at a crossroads, and where you go from here will decide the trajectory for the entire life. The choices you make now as a young adult, whether you're just getting out of high school or just getting into college like I am, the choices you make today and in these years of your life will change the trajectory of your life. But that's not something you should be intimidated by or afraid of. That's something you should cherish and relish. Imagine when you're 80 years old, sitting on your front porch and yelling at your grandkids. The effects of your actions then aren't going to have as much effect on your life as it's going to have an effect on the lives of the people around you. But the actions you take now will decide where you go in 20 years, in 50 years. You could be the next person to win the Grammys or win a Nobel Prize. You could be the first person on Mars. Realistically, from here on out, you decide what to do next. No one else can decide that for you. No one else can decide how far you go or how close you stay to home. All I can say is whatever decision you make, just be damn sure you're happy to live with that for the rest of your life. And I guess me sitting here talking to the camera about this is me sitting here telling myself that whatever you choose to do and whatever choice you make, I'm proud of you. And you chose to make that because you think it's what's best for you at this very moment. Can you guys tell what I'm making, by the way? I'm not going to say it yet. I'll say it at the end of the video, but comment down in the description if you've guessed it. I'll give you a second to comment now. While you're here, like and subscribe. Thank you. I'll tell you what it is at the end of the video. Oh no, I didn't mean to do that. See, the mistakes you make are irreversible. It's not like you have a pencil and you can just cut and clip the parts that you don't want people to see. It's not that simple. The mistakes you make now will remain, unfortunately. I may be burger at carving wood now because it's like my first day doing it since I was like 9, but who knows how good I'll be in 5 years. All right, time to start that caving process. There's just one thing that you have to have when you're at this stage in your life, this stage where you're capable of clicking on a video like this. There's just one thing in your life that's so necessary that if you don't have it, you're gonna be bed rotting in the what's supposed to be the most youthful and beautiful years in your life, and you're just gonna spend in bed rotting if you don't have this. And what this is focus. You need to be able to put the phone down. You need to be able to get out there, see nature, and lock in. Lock in on the things you love doing. Lock in on the people you love seeing. These years are never coming back. They say live hard and die young or whatever. I don't believe in that at all. Dying young would be miserable. This is the best time to be alive. Not sure what I want to do now. Maybe save yourself, don't ever look that way. She took my hand and then she both started running in circles, circles. Whoa, let's go.